Mr. Bowser. Today we're going to be going over the coach with you. We are going to be starting up front here, pretty much with the tongue jack. This smaller one here, switch, is going to be for the light underneath, so if you had to hook up at night. Then our bigger one is going to be for getting on and off the tow vehicle, also how you level the camper from front to back. I usually like to also say that while you're hooked to the tow vehicle, level from side to side. Using a carpenter's level right inside the doorway, you're able to figure out your best judgment on that. You can lay down your blocks, use the vehicle to roll onto them to help level from side to side. Then once you've unhooked, you'll level front to back using this guy. And then you're going to lower all four of your stabilizer jacks located on each corner of the camper. It is a 3/4 socket. The manual crank is located inside. I tell you to use the 3/4 socket, put it on drill, makes it a lot easier. Next, we're going to have our propane tank. We have two 20-pound tanks. These are both full, minus what I use to test the system. As you see right now, this indicator is reading red because we don't have no propane flow. Once we turn it on, give it just a second here, this guy will flip the green. Shows that we have propane flow. Once the tank is empty, that would show red saying that it is empty. With this style regulator, you can have both tanks on. Once this tank is empty, it would start pulling from the other tank. You just don't know that the tank is empty unless you come out here and look at the regulator, because it would be reading red because our little notch right here is pointing at the tank that we were trying to use. All you're going to do is flip this guy over to the tank that it swapped over to. Then you can take this one off and go get it refilled. I do always recommend just one tank at a time. It makes it a lot easier, so that way you know when you run out of propane. This one does also provide a bungee so you can secure the lid so it wouldn't potentially fly off. Back behind here is where our battery is located. We got our lid and strap right there. Over here you can store your 7-way adapter. It just sits in there. Over here is going to be our battery disconnect. So when you are storing the camper, you would just turn this guy to that position there and it shuts off the camper, so nothing would drain the battery if it was left on. Nice thing is you do have those solar panels to kind of help charge the battery, so that is a nice little plus. Inside here, we're going to have our sprayer that connects to the spray port on the other side. Then we got our sewer cap here. Go ahead and take that with us. Inside here, we're going to have our crank handles there, our manual cranks. The small one is going to be for the tongue jack, and then you got your 3/4 for the stabilizers. I'll show you the other stuff once we get to the other side for like your outside barbecue grill. Next, we have our freshwater connection. Pretty much it is gravity fed. You just put it in and let it start filling. We do recommend that you kind of keep an eye on the sensor inside, or the panel inside. When it reads full, you know to shut the water off. Overfilling can cause damage to both the outside and the inside of where the connection is over time. The drain for him is labeled right here, the freshwater drain. And it is going to be located down here. All you got to do is just take off that cap and it will start draining the tank. Down below is going to be where our city water connection is. It is recommended you always have a pressure regulator on the water spigot. Then your option, the inline water filter, and then the water hose, blue or white, and then it'll tie into here. Turn on the water, you're going to be able to use the water system right away. One thing to note about your slide rooms with this style slide is you never want to lubricate these. They work on two independent motors at the top. Lubricating these over time will gum up the gears inside and just cause problems. It's simple. When these start looking dirty and dingy, you just simply use soap water to clean them and rinse them off. Also, when the slide room is usually all the way in, it will always look like the top is a lot tighter than the bottom. The reason for that is because that's where the motors are, so that's where the most power is. So it's going to try to suck, so the top will always look like it's more compressed than the bottom. Factory states they just look for a compression of at least 50% of the seal once the room is all the way in. We will talk about your tires on the other side where we can see them a lot better. Here on the back side, you see is where our sewer connection is. We've got a little water still draining out of this guy. Put our sewer cap on there. As you see right now, I do have our black tank open. So we're going to go ahead and push that close so we can stop that water from dripping. And then you got your gray handle. You would pull that to drain. Here we got our cable and satellite hookup. Campground cable, or if you hit the satellite. Then you got your 30 amp power cord that does come with the coach. This guy just twists the lock in to help keep the water out. And then this usually will go in and twist the lock in. Next, we do have the ladder to the roof. The weight capacity on that is 250 pounds. As you see, that first rung is quite high from our bumper. You would have to use a small 6-foot ladder is what I would recommend to be able to get up here to get on this rung. But we're just trying to get up there and inspect the sealant. We're not trying to go up there and have like any kind of NASCAR parties or anything like that. Next, we do have our spare tire. We got the option for a observational backup camera. Simple plug and play. Back here is going to be the black tank flush. This guy's like a sprayer in a black tank, sprays around to get the nastiness out. It is recommended you do this every time you go to dump the black tank. Just helps clean out that tank so you don't get the smells over time. You should also always use a chemical inside the toilet. We'll talk about that a little bit. But what you're going to do is, I always do recommend a pressure regulator on this as well at the spigot. There is a plastic check valve on the backside. Too strong a water pressure can damage that check valve. From there, I also like to say keep it simple. Go out to Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, somewhere along those lines. Go get yourself a black hose. Black tank, black hose. It keeps it simple. So that way your fresh water is blue or white and your black is black. Nice and simple. Make sure your valve is always open when you go to dump. That is what the caution sticker here is for. If the tank is full, you hook up, start filling water. It will either come out of the toilet or the vent stack on the roof. Both are bad situations. Let's come around the corner here. We're going to have our low point drains. Pretty much the lowest points of the water lines in the coach. Open up those. You're going to do that whenever you would winterize. I also recommend whenever you're done camping, open up those valves and open up a faucet in the sink, like the bathroom sink. As you drive home, that air is going to help push any air or water out of the lines, and that way you don't get any stagnant water left behind in there where it can potentially start smelling like the rotten eggs. Also, while we're underneath here is where your quick connect for the LP is going to be located for your outside barbecue grill. This is where you're going to mount the grill and the top that comes with it. I'll go ahead and grab that and show you guys that real quick. And I have that changed the design slightly. So they now have these overly large brackets here for the barbecue grill. Pretty much these guys will just set upward like so. And from there, as you see how much fun this is. Oh, I'm not going in the right spot, that's why. That's my error for not trying. I was mounting them and trying to mount them in the wrong location. Pretty much your top hook piece here, and then the bottom one is what helps locks it in. And then you would have room to set up your table here. With the grill, you have your quick connect hose that ties in back here, and then ties into the LP quick connect. And then this guy here has its own spark igniter. I do always recommend when you first go to use these, look up on YouTube on how to season a Blackstone, because I do recommend seasoning this before you use it. It has not yet been seasoned. It does have the grill tray right here. I'll go ahead and grab this table real quick so you guys can see this as well. Got a little flat piece here, but pretty much it's gonna go sit right on there like so, and then there you go. You also do have a warning sticker here. So what that warning sticker is for, it is to tell you that the awning needs to be left in whenever you cook. Apparently they've been having issues where people have been trying to grill with the awning open and they must have been getting damaged or even potentially caught on fire. We'll set that in there for now. I don't think there was anything on this side I had to show you guys. And that is your power or your LP quick connect codes. I'll get that put away after our virtual here. Pretty much that you got the quick connect spray port for the hose. Down here is going to be our exhaust for the furnace. Do recommend mud dauber screens for this. Keep the mud daubers out there, but also the wasp. You have an outside 110 connection, which as you see is right below your drain for the water heater. Pretty much whenever you go to drain the water heater, you're going to open this to relieve the pressure and then take out your anno rod. This is a 1 1/16 socket. It starts out the size of a dime and will work itself down to the size of a coat hanger. Once it gets down to the size of the coat hanger is when you want to replace it. You do have the options of gas or electric on this model. For the electric, that's going to be located down here with this on and off switch. Go ahead and shut that off. Up above is going to be our vent for the stove. Next we have the tires that we're going to talk about. There is a notice sticker here. Make sure you want to torque the lug nuts. We got them torqued to 100 foot-pounds, and it's a 19 millimeter or 3/4 socket. All right, if you don't have a torque wrench, recommend getting one. It is also recommended you always want to keep the tires topped off at its max PSI. I believe this model here was 50 PSI. So just always make sure those guys are topped off there. So pretty much for our entry door, you got the handle here. It helps keep the door secured. You always make sure that the door handle is locked during travel. When you're going to open this guy up, you're always going to make sure you open the door fully before you extend out the stairs. So do that, you're going to pull here to unlock them, and then they would come down. This here is where you adjust your feet. All right, that's actually pretty important. You always want to make sure that this guy here is usually as flat with the threshold as possible. If it is not, then issues with the door can occur. As you see right now, we do have a minor gap there, so that could potentially cause an issue with the door. So we're going to go ahead and bring these up just a fuzz. And then kind of lock those in. All right, I'm now going to step inside and just kind of open up the awning so you guys can see that, and I'll show you the switch here in just a minute once we kind of come back inside. Ladder in the way. Hopefully we'll be able to bring that in. Alright, we do have a ladder close to us, so I'm only going to be able to open it up so far. Generally, there's a flap on the end that'll pretty much be vertical with the ground. But your awning here, it does have the ability to pitch by taking it right here on this side and pulling it down. It'll create a pitch. And then whenever you go to back up, you just kind of push it up. Always leave a slight little angle on that, but you can do that on either side. And it even has a sticker over here, and it has one on that side as well. Pretty much pull down to adjust the pitch. Just pull it down to adjust your pitch. All right, when we step inside here's where our panels are going to be located. Is right up here. Our interior light here is going to be on the very end. Turn that on so we can see. Pretty much got our awning here. We're going to go ahead and bring him back in. As you see, he is not going to be the fastest guy in the world. All right, next we're going to have the slide room. With the slide room, with the style slide that you have, there is no halfway. It's either all the way in or all the way out. And then when you do so, you're always going to hold the button. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Once the room is all the way in, you will hold that button for an extra 3 to 5 seconds just in case one side didn't come in fully. The reason why is because they work on the independent motors. As you kind of heard, I don't know if you kind of was able to hear that or see that, but that side, this side stopped and that side came in just a hair more because, like I said, the independent motors, one might have been rotating a lot faster than the other one by maybe 1 or 2 rotations. So that's why you always want to try to hold that button for the extra 3 to 5 seconds. We'll open that back up here, or we'll just go ahead and open that guy back up. Okay, so next then we have our awning lights. Pretty much turns on the LEDs outside above the, or underneath the awning. Then you have a porch light. So this is actually in the middle position for the off position. So when you turn it on one way, it's going to give you more of that white light right there. If you flip it down, it gives you an orange light. And then our last one was our interior lights, which turns on pretty much all the lights in this area here. Next we have our tank statuses. It does also show you the battery. And you got the fresh tank. As you see, we still got some water in there. Now our black tank is empty and gray is empty. Down here you got the water heater. That's going to be for the gas side. And then you got your water pump. So if you're using the fresh water tank, you want to use this guy. Let's just turn that guy on. And then we'd be ready to use water. We'll go ahead and leave that on. I'll show you that here in just a sec. Down here is going to be for the holding tanks. Pretty much you got little 12-volt heating pads on the bottom of the tanks to keep them warm in the colder weathers. As you see, they're even labeled fresh, gray, and black. And then right up here is going to be our solar panel controller. There isn't really a whole lot you do with this guy. Pretty much this is just the panel that, or the controller that the panels come to. And then once the battery gets below a certain level, this panel will say, hey, we need a boost from the solar panels, and then it will engage for the solar panels to charge. Of course, it lets you know whenever if it's charging, this guy's usually flashing. And then if it's pretty much charging on electric, as you see, you got the blue light there. You can also change the battery type. That's in settings. That's literally something you usually don't have to worry about. It'll be on the flooded setting because it's just a regular deep cycle acid-based battery. If you ever decide you're going to upgrade to like an AGM or a lithium style battery, you just kind of are able to go in those settings and change that so it knows what kind of charge to send to the battery properly. Alright, we got our fire extinguisher here near the entry door. We got our window here. Pretty much with these guys, you just pull and pull. And you usually got to slam them to shut them. We have our GFCI outlet. Pretty much if you find an outlet that doesn't working and it says that it has that sticker on it, come here and make sure it doesn't trip. We got our little lights here. Pretty much lights up our little closet area on both sides. And then next we have our inverter. Pretty much whenever you're boondock camping, you can turn this on. And you have power through the GFCI outlets. Next, we do have our bed area here. This guy would fold down like so. From there, you release this guy. This would come down. And then your bed would fold down. You have the cushions, or some of the pillows, you do each have little night lights there as well, and there's blinds that covers that also. That'll go down and cover that big glass. This guy can technically be either up or down during travel. It does not matter. The slide room does not get that close to it. So if it was a better convenience for you to leave it in that position, you can. Down here, you do have storage, and then our inverter is located back behind that panel. Over here is going to be our fire exit window. This guy is on a hinge, so if you couldn't make your way to the door, you do have a way to try to get out the window. Like I said, this thing will just fling open, so you could just fling it open to get out. They do recommend pulling the screen to get out. I just recommend get your feet out, get out if there is a fire at all means necessary. Next, with the bench seat area here, each side of the bench seat does have storage underneath. And then your table also folds into a bed. Pretty much, you would lift the table up, you pull the legs out, it sits on the ground, and then the table will sit on here. If you ever do that, you do have to strap it in. That's what the strap here is for, if you have it down in the bed position. This can be traveled in the up position like so. And I usually prefer this because it usually stays pretty secured in the poles. And then we got our other windows here, same little style. You just pull these guys out and then push it open. We got the TV area here. As you see, it is based off the 12 volt. That is that way so you can watch it out in the middle of nowhere if you wanted to. It does have its own little latch on the back, but they do supply a strap to secure it in for extra safety because it is on the back side of a slide. We got our remote right here for that guy. Turn this guy on. And pretty much what we have now are going to be channels that we picked up through the air for free, our digital channels. So I did do a scan or search. And we have, our channels. 2, 4, I believe there was 5 also. Pretty much all your basic digital channels that they provide for free. Anytime you get to a new area, if you are not close to St. Louis area, you would have to rescan for channels. To do so, you're going to press the menu key. And I normally just push the back arrow key one time, takes me to channels. Then I would go down. From here, like if you had that campground cable, you're going to turn off the TV antenna booster up here where that green light is. And then you would switch this to cable and scan for channels. If you're trying to scan for the air, leave it on air, go down to auto scan, and then you would click over to yes to scan for the channels. Down here is going to be our thermostat. Pretty much this guy is basically a whole lot of button pushing. When you first turn it on, it does light up the panel. And then we're going to go ahead and start in the off position. We're going to give that just a second for make sure that the air conditioner kicks off, because I do have a tendency to move too fast for the system. When you first turn this guy on, it'll say off, but then you have fan low and fan high. That's just the fan that will come on. After that, you got cool high and cool low. And these two settings right here, the air conditioner will just continuously run. It will not shut down. After that, you have cool low auto and cool high auto. And that's these two settings where you would set your temperature and it will come on and off whenever it reaches that temp. And then the very last setting, if we push this one more time, it would say heat, and that's going to be for your furnace. Okay, and then the last option is off. You do have storage down below here as well. I'm going to backtrack for just a couple seconds. Pretty much you don't have a stereo in this unit. This guy comes with a Bluetooth speaker. And pretty much it would just USB plug in to charge. Whenever you go to look it up on your phone, it will be JBL Flip 5 is what will pop up on your phone as the Bluetooth name. Here we have our keys. These guys here are you have one key for each one. It is a key to light camper, so the one key operates every lock on the coach. And then you have pretty much all our manuals for the appliances are going to be inside here. For the manual for the coach itself, you do have to go to their website and download an app, and then pretty much you'll punch in the information and it will give you a PDF file of your manual for your coach. Over here on the side, we have our vacuum hookup area. Pretty much for that, you would just lift. Nice thing is you just kind of sweep everything to right here and then just lift that up and it'll suck it right in. Always make sure this is secured where during travel. This is going to be our lock for our door. Then we got our little closet area here. Inside here is going to be where our safe is. So you can store personal items if need be. And then storage down below here as well. For the toilet, you're going to lightly press on the pedestal to add water so you can do your business. All the way down will flush. There is also instructions here for the toilet as well. I usually also recommend taking non-stick cook spray, spraying the bowl of the toilet. It'll help everything slide down easier. But here they do supply a trial size of the chemical for the toilet. Literally 2 ounces treats a 40-gallon tank. I don't know, I'm pretty sure yours isn't going to be that big, but you can still use the 2 ounces. I just go 1-2, or you can buy a 1 ounce shot glass to keep in here, and then you can just get the toilet drunk on chemicals if you wanted to. Over here on the side, we got another GFCI outlet here that's tied into the one by the bed, and then your light switch for the bathroom area. And then we have our shower area. This guy just kind of flings open like so and sits there. You have what they consider to be, it's called a shower miser. So with the shower miser, what it does, so when we go to turn this on, we have our water. There is a reducer on here, so you can reduce flow of water when you're taking a shower. Oh, got a little air in there still. So for the shower miser, whenever you go to do that, so like right now, we don't quite have hot water to this area here. So what you can do is, you would turn this on, you can flip this switch upward, and it will start sending water back to the fresh water tank. When the water starts getting hot, this actually will start changing color. You know that water's getting hot. Right now it's getting that dark blue color, but as the warm water starts going through, it starts changing color. They'll get a lighter color. And then from there, it shows that, hey, I got hot water, now I'm ready to flip it over and I can take my shower. This tries to help you preserve the hot water you have in your camper, and also helps you try to preserve your fresh water if you're using the fresh water tank. The reason why for the hot water, though, is you only have 6 gallons of hot water. The average American uses 38 gallons when they take a shower, so you're just naturally outmatched. By using this reducer up here, it will help you conserve the hot water so you can get a longer shower. As you see now, as I turned it off and that hot water's still in there, it's actually getting a little lighter blue color in there. All right. We got our exhaust fan up here. Pretty much pull that handle down to open. And then you got your on switch. It does have 4 settings. And then you also have off. Down below here is going to be our control panel box. Pretty much anything that runs off the 110 or your main sure power is going to be on the breakers. Anything that runs off the battery or is going to be on your fuses, and they have everything labeled. Nice thing is, it looks like everything's on a 15 except for the converter, which is going to be 240s. These are in place, so if for some reason the battery got hooked up backwards, it would blow these fuses and not damage the converter. But they do have everything listed right here for what breaker is which. So you got your 30 amp main and your AC, water heater. It's all listed right here for you of what everything is. Next, we got our LP detector, pretty much, and carbon monoxide. You push this button here, which we're actually getting ready to do now, and perform a test. So as you hear, there were 2 different beeps. One is for LP, one is for carbon monoxide. Alright, so next we have our fridge. For our fridge, our controls are going to be located up top. You got your power button here to turn it on and off. You press and hold, and it'll come on. And then you got your plus and minuses, so you can adjust the temperature of the freezer or fridge. Right now it's set, so we are setting the temperature for the freezer because there's a little blue light there. If we wanted to set the temp for the fridge, we just push it over here, and then we can adjust the temperature for that as well. We always recommend when you first turn it on, you have it on 5 so it gets good and cold, because it takes 12 to 24 hours to properly cool down. And then you have a little nighttime mode. So what it does, it sets it into where at night it's not as hot, so it's a little cooler outside, so it doesn't take as much energy to get, to stay running. Next we have our stove area here. Got our light and our fan. Always lift this up when you're going to be cooking. Very much these guys here are going to be for the burners. They do give you a little light here. The bottom half does nothing because there is no oven, so it's just a single one here. Pretty much so, you just turn it to the light position, and then this area is going to be the spark igniter. And you would turn it to it lights. It's not going to light right now because we didn't leave the propane on. And then always shut that off. Always try to make sure nobody is leaning against these. If these are just pressed in, propane can start coming out of these and cause that LP detector to go off. Down here is going to be our microwave, pretty self-explanatory. One thing I do like to say with the microwave is set the time. If you go out somewhere, you come back, you see the time isn't set, that means there was a power outage at your campsite. So it's looking to see if it was at the campsite or was it from the electric company in the area. Try to find that out. Then underneath the sink here, you got another GFCI hookup. We got our light switch here. There's just a little ambiance lights for the front. Flip that on again so you can see that. And then they give you a little USB hookup for charging phones. This light here you would turn on by hand. And then we have our sink here. Pretty much got our cold water. And then our hot, which the electric's been on, so it's going to get pretty hot there. So you might be able to see the steam coming off of that through the video, hopefully. And then as you see here with the cutting board, it does have the slots. So if you're doing, cutting fish, or I wouldn't recommend doing that in here. It'll create a smell over time. But then you do have the cutting board side. I am actually going to backtrack a little bit, but first we're going to come right here. Behind this little panel I had taken off is where your bypass valves are for the water heater. There is two, one at the bottom and then one towards the top for the hot side. You're always going to flip those whenever you go to winterize. I always like to say, keeping it simple, if you flip valves inside the coach, you're going to turn them all. So you'd have those two there. And then you're going to actually have one over here in this little panel I got open down here. And what that does, it swaps between using from the fresh water tank to this hose right here. So you can just take your antifreeze, stick this in the antifreeze, and then you're using the water pump to winterize your coach. So just to be noted that your coach is not winterized at this time. So if you're going to get too cold, yes, although you have tank heaters, temperatures, once they start to get in the 20s and the teens, things like that, even those heating pads are going to struggle to keep things cold. And then like the piping exposed to the outside air will freeze. Okay, so just please be mindful of that. And then you do also have your little island area seating here. And from here we have pretty much made our way back to the doorway. If you guys do have any questions, please feel free to call. We'll do our best to answer those through the phone for you guys. Other than that, thank you and have a wonderful day.